We're here today for episode 6 of the JB Open Exchange podcast. Here today with Roddy Collins. Absolute privilege to have Roddy on. One of Ireland's best personalities, in my opinion. I read your book when you gifted it to me, Roddy, and getting to know you over the last few years has been a pleasure. I have to say, even from your book to getting to know you and all, it was. And my missus was very, even with the book, she loved some of the things were said in it, and it was just, your personality is brilliant. And then watching some of the clips of you online of the football and things like that, especially the one with the Lions man or the fourth official that time. But no, Roddy, pleasure to have you here today, pal.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks very much. Just getting back to that, the book changed my life. But getting back to the one with the Lions man, that was 22 years ago. I rang him last week. I tracked his number down last week.
Brilliant.
And it was great crack with him. And because I'd done a podcast in Liverpool, and I wanted to clear it up that it wasn't bullying, that we had a relationship before the ham, because he was, you know what he was, Jay? He was a man of 18, I think, at the time, who looked about 14.
Yeah.
And I used to say to him in the afternoon kick-offs, I'd say, how did you get this job? But that was a midweek game under lights, and that's what I said, does your mother know you're out late?
Yeah.
And that's how that developed. So to
Brilliant.
put that to bed, it wasn't bullying, but thanks for the introduction, Jay. No pressure now, I have to be a good boy.
Now, look, it's an honour to have you on, Roddy. I wanted to wait till we had a few episodes before I asked you, but the fact that you said you had no problem straight away, it was great. Like, it was really great to get you. We have a thing that at the start we like to just kind of introduce people. Everyone knows who Roddy Collins is now. They see you publicly, and you're always online. You're doing podcasts and shows and things, on the radios and that.
Yeah.
But for the likes of people my age and maybe a bit younger, let's give us a little recap of who Roddy Collins is, where he started, and let's not go into too much. But
All right, no,
your football and how you got into playing League of Ireland, then you went managing, you went across the water management, which not many Irish managers do.
No, first.
Yeah, there's not many, and you were successful in your management career, which I don't feel gets the credit that it deserves as well, especially your job at Bowes.
Yeah,
so,
come here, Jay, that's life. That's Ireland for you, you know. If you fail or struggle, everyone loves you.
Yeah.
If you put your head above the parapet, do a great job. He's a mouth, he's this, he's that. But look, that's life. I've no problem. Where did it start? Like most youngsters, like yourself, just grew up in Carlisle in a Corpo house, council they call it now, Corpo house in Animo Terrace, number 12. My ma, Colette, my dad passed, and we lived with me nanny. It was her house, and 6 children, 7. God rest my brother's soul. We lost one when he was a little baby. So we grew up like any normal kids on the road, you know.
Very successful in sport, especially.
Well, we came from a boxing family. I mean, predominantly boxing. Everyone talks about Stephen Collins because he reached the pinnacle of the world stage. But there was me uncle Jack O'Rourke, who represented her in the heavyweight many times. There was my dad who won titles. There was my uncle Terry who won area titles in England. There was Christy Collins who won junior welterweight titles in Ireland. You know, there was Johnny Collins who won a novice light heavyweight title. You know, so we were bred on boxing. Yeah. When we were kids in my nanny's house, because it was my nanny's house, Jay, all my uncles came with their sons, and everything was boxing.
Boxing, yeah.
And then, of course, my dad went and built a boxing gym on the back of the house.
Brilliant.
Right, we weren't squashed in enough, and I thought it was an extension in a bathroom or something, but boxing. So we were reared on boxing. We loved it. I was reared on Muhammad Ali, Roberto Duran. I missed Sugar Ray Robinson, but I listened to all the stories. But getting tapped on the shoulder and bet, come on, Ali's on the radio. Wasn't even visual.
Yeah.
So it was great. And then I remember at 8 years of age watching the European Cup final, Benfica, Mourinho's team now, and Man United in the European Cup final, as they called the Champions League.
68?
68 that was. I remember it well. And sitting with me dad looking at the telly in black and white. Brian Kidd scored. It was his 19th birthday. I remember that. I think Bobby Charlton scored, but George Best definitely scored. Yeah. And I remember looking at Georgie Best and the hair flowing and the whole lot, you know. And I was just mesmerised by it. Now, I love playing football on the street as well.
Of course, yeah.
Talking about boxing. And I was mesmerised by that. And it stuck in my brain. Never pursued football. It was always boxing.
And would you have boxed back then, Roddy?
Yeah. We all boxed. Now, I wasn't as prominent as Stephen, obviously, and Pascal went into the pro ranks. I inter-club, what you call them, inter-club fights.
Yeah. Shows against each other.
Shows, yeah, Arba Hill, Phoenix. I remember Tony Davitt. Actually, we brought the story up. I'd done an inter-club fight in Phoenix Boxing Club, and Tony brought us up in Pascal's gym, and I went back to the corner and says, Rod, use your head. I went out nut jam, man, straight away. But anyway, I didn't love it.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. I enjoyed the science of it.
Wasn't the passion.
I didn't have the passion, Jay. I enjoyed the science of it. I enjoyed the mental, tactical stuff in the ring. I didn't enjoy the skipping, the stuff where when I played football, you'd have to drag me in every night off the street. So I remember going through all that phase, started to make a name myself, got picked for the trials for Irish under-15s, started to get noticed then.
Was that for Stella Maris?
Yeah, I was playing for Stella. I was doing very well there, getting noticed for that. And then I didn't get into the squad. And when I just met Carlisle when I was 15. I was a bit all over the shop, Bit of a not a tear away. Very well.
Typical teenager.
And there was a lot of distractions in Cabra at the time that you could go that way or that way. I was going a little bit to the wrong side. But anyway, met Carlisle when I was 15, and that was it. I just turned to the football. I boxed for the longest youth heavyweight title in the stadium, and I was doing really well at the football at the time. And I remember I had a bad night. I went in complacent, told the fella Sally Noggin, who was boxing, I'd be going home early, full of myself, got caught cold, took a count, and I remember box on, and when he told me to box on, my gum shit was after flying out across the ring. I went to get my gum shit, and he waved her over. And you know what, Jay? Done me the biggest favour in my life. Yeah. I went home and said to me, Ma, get me a ball quick, buy me a ball. Went home, a couple of weeks later, I was in Fulham.
Right.
So, and my idol, George Best, was playing for Fulham. So it was like, I don't know, whoever your idol is, Muhammad Ali, or the lucky to meet Roberto Duran, lucky to meet.
One of them moments that maybe were meant to be.
Oh, and you know what, Jay? I met him, idolised him, and still till the day he died, for his skills, and a gentleman, lovely man. I remember walking and thinking, what do I say? Mr. Best. You don't be like a licker. He didn't know what to do, But I was put in the youth team dress room anyway, but I was brought in training with the first team. And Best was there. And we were having a five-a-side. And I'll never forget it. And I tell the story in jest, but every time he got the ball, I called him for it. And every time I got the ball, I passed it to him. And then I realised he wasn't even on my team. It was like a panic attack when I seen him in the flesh.
Brilliant.
And was involved in, contact with him. But that was football for me. And then after that, I come home and in around the gym, always, up until I was, I done a white collar show in London at 55 or 50 odd for Stephen. Anyway, that's another story. I was having a meal. And Stephen rings me up. I was in St. Albans. He was putting a show on a rugby club, a white collar show, the rugby lads against other fellas. So he rings up, he says, where are you? And I remember I was at half bottle of wine into a meal. And he says, Rod, the heavyweights pulled out. I need you to do 3 rounds. That was the last.
What old were you in this time, Rod?
About 55, 52.
Really?
Yeah. And I went down. Stephen ref, he looked after me, but I remember going down. That was the last time I ever physically ran the intent to put a pair of gloves on. But I love boxing. I've actually, do you know what, Jay? I have better memories of boxing than football by tenfold.
Really, yeah? Would that be just, because obviously you had your time in England, but you came home and you played at home as well in the League of Ireland.
Oh, yeah. Well, I played before I went away. I mean, I went to England as a kid, came back. I went to England. I went to Fulham, Arsenal, Wolverhampton Wanderers. I think the best one was Wolverhampton Wanderers. They brought me back over again to a tour of Holland. A tournament in Holland. And I done all right. But I made a fatal error in hindsight. The lads were all signed players. I was the only trialist. And they were having a night out. And I went with them. And we ended up in a nightclub. And I was drinking pure orange juice. I didn't drink. Pure orange juice. And John German was the manager of the team that went away. And he walked and everyone ran. I didn't think nothing of it. So, pulled me the next day. You were in the nightclub last night. I said, was you? He says, we're all the lads. I said, but I was drinking orange juice. No, that's not acceptable. If you're prepared to work harder, that's what he said, we'll have you back. So I come home. Eddie Corkin was the scout, turned 17. He said to me, "Sign my balls, we'll keep an eye on you." So that's what I done. Pardon me. And I went straight to the Bows team at 18. Straight into the team.
Good achievement, that.
And played in Europe at 18 in the UEFA Cup. Got man of the match for Bows. United, Spurs and Celtic were straight on. 2 weeks later, I was kind of a little strained. We was playing a Sunday. The reserves were playing on a Saturday against UCD. And Billy Young was the manager, says, "Rod, get out and do 20 minutes, see how that is." It was a calf. No problem. 5 minutes in, snapped me shin, tibia, fibia. Horrendous break.
Bad one, yeah.
Pardon me. So that was the
football.
That was the football. 2 years took me to make a comeback. They played me in sympathy in the reserves as a centre half, just, to sympathise with me. And I remember thinking, I'm giving it up. So I'll give it one last shot in the summer. There was loads of summer tournaments then. And I trained really hard. And I played in an 11-side tournament in St. Pat's Ground. And Athlone Town used that as part of their pre-season. And we played them in the final. And I scored a hat-trick. And we won the tournament. I got top scorer in the tournament, player of the tournament. Turlock O'Connor signed me for Athlone, who were the champions. That was my resurrection. Right. I was 22. So
still young.
Yeah, well, I was, but not for what I wanted, Jay.
Yeah.
And what I believed before I broke my leg. So I ended up playing with them, top scorer that season, scored in Europe against Standard Liège. I'll never forget that. And things were going great. And Turlock sold me to Dundalk. Sorry, Drogheda. Sold me to Drogheda. Went to Drogheda. Done well there. They got relegated. I went back to Dundalk when Turlock took over. So I was 24 now. Just touching 25 in August the 7th. And I was flying at Dundalk. So I wrote to every club in England, non-league and 4th division at the time. And I got a reply from the man that said to me, "If you're prepared to work harder, we'll have you back." John Jarman was the assistant manager of Mansfield. So they invited me over for a trial, paid me on fare, a whole lot, put me up in digs. And I didn't do well. I think it was a 10-day trial. I didn't do well. I was just no better than anyone else. So I was 25. So the last day I was to go home, they said, "We're playing, I think it was Walsall. We're playing Walsall. Do you want to have a game before you fly out?" I scored 5 goals. Straight back to the office. And they paid 17.5 grand sterling, a record fee for me. But it went
good money back then.
That was big money. That was their record fee.
That's big money back then.
But you know what, Jay? It was a good thing and a bad thing. Their expectations was through the roof.
Yeah.
And, coming in at 25, hitting 26, they thought I was 21.
Yeah.
I got a forged birth certificate, right? And I went part-time to 3 times a day. My body broke down, something terrible. And not an excuse. I'm not making an excuse. It is what it is. And then I was getting into the rhythm of it, and I broke my little toe. My little toe. And they put me in as a battering ram centre forward. I made my debut. I think it was against Northampton. And I remember Ian Graves, the man, saying, "If ever we need a big fucking battering ram, we need one tonight." I went on a half-time. Fella broke his leg, Mark Kearney. We need one. And that was my introduction to football. Then my little toe. So anyway, between that, coming back, scored 2 goals against Doncaster in the LDV quarter-final, blah, blah, blah. Broke my leg again. Right. Come back from that, the last week of the season, come back to try and make it to the cup final. We were playing in Wembley, and I busted me gut. I remember cycling for miles, swimming in this outdoor pool, doing the weights in the gym. It was the best condition I was ever in. So about a week, 2 before the end of the season, I went out to play against Stoke City reserves up in Stoke. I'll never forget it. And about half an hour into the game, broke again.
Starting to sound like your legs are made of Lego.
Well, that leg in
that
particular,
stage.
you know, that leg in particular. But it wasn't the shin bone. It was the fibula at the back.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, so that was it. It was just a litany of injuries. Come back for pre-season, and I was told I wasn't well. Come back. My contract was up. It's not getting renewed. But they obliged. They had to have me back because you had to be medically fit, not physically fit.
Of course, yeah.
I was flying. I thought, in my innocence, I've never been in better nick. I'll come back, show Ian Graves I still am the player he thinks I am. I'll never forget his last quote to me, Jay. We were out on the training pitch. He used to come in at 2 o'clock on the Monday. Billy Dears, my assistant manager, were warming up. I remember, Irish! I looked around, it was the boss, Ian Graves. I went, what are you doing here? I said, I'm going to have 2 weeks here before just to make sure I'm right. He said, fuck off and train over there on your own. That was the last words he had. So, packed up, got an offer to go to Cambridge for a month. Went down, trained, first game, now I was in great nick. Great nick. First game, jumped up to head a ball, came down, and my elbow popped out. So, anyway.
Talk about bad luck.
I ended up in Stevenage Hospital. It wasn't surgery, it was put it back in, put it in a bit of a strap and the whole lot. And I remember saying to the manager, I'm all right, I remember the digs I was in, fella came in a garden, a rose bush thing, cut the thing off, took a couple of painkillers, and I played in the next game, pre-season, and the pain was horrendous. And I have a write up at home. He wrote in the paper if he was going to a war, Roddy Collins was the first man he'd bring, but we can't wait around.
Yeah, of course.
So I got a call to go to Newport. Went down there, said nothing about my arm. Made me debut against Halifax. Paddy Roach was in goal, ex-Shelbourne, Man United. Scored the winner 1-0. Got a 2-year contract that night.
Lovely.
So that sort of got me going. And then I went there, injuries again. Ended up playing for Cheltenham Town for a month. And then Shamrock Rovers asked me to come home, so I went, Old King.
And after when you came home, obviously the career was coming to the end of the days. Then you're finished now back at home. Was it always a passion of yours to go into management?
Never.
Did you ever have that? Because I know I look at players like the likes of Roy Keane, Stephen Gerrard, players like that, real leaders, Patrick Vieira in the Premier League, and you'd say they'll all go into management, and none of them have really done great.
Yeah.
Were you that type of player in the pitch?
Never.
No.
Jay, if you'd grown up in the dressing room with me, you would have said he's a motivator. But I'd never in a million years would have any intention of being a manager.
And what brought that in? What made that happen? Where did you go from? Like, obviously you came back home, you played out your days in the League of Ireland, and I think you finished with Francis, wasn't it?
No, that was after I managed.
Oh, it was after?
Yeah, that was after I managed. I finished at 37 and a half. Leave the half one in. No, what happened was I come back, played a couple of seasons here, won a league medal actually with Dundalk when I come back. I ended up going to the North Crusaders with Tony O'Connell. Played 3 seasons and a half there, and I ended up going to Bangor as a player. I was 34, and the manager resigned, and the chairman come over to me and he said to me, Rod, Nigel's after taking the Glenavon job. You're the oldest player here. Will you take over for a month? I said, no problem. Now, I was employing about 20 men at the time, so no problem with men.
Of course, yeah.
No problem with leadership. So I said, yeah, no problem. And then I realised there is a problem because I don't know anything about football management. Do you know what I mean? So I remember my first game was against Larne, up in Larne. And we used to drive from Dublin on match day. And I drove up, got lost. Chairman's ringing me. I just said, strip everyone. Now, I 3 of the players in the car with me. Ricky McAvoy, Mark Kenny, and I think it was Paddy McDonough. We were driving up. And I remember, Jay, going in, and you imagine this, the dressing room with 20 fellas in it, all stripped, and I walked in and they all looked at me. And I had a bit of a panic attack. I didn't know what to say, so I says, use the toilet, right? And I'll never forget it. I remember looking at the window, and you know that flight or fight thing? I looked at the window and I went, if I could fit out that window, I'd be in that car and they'd never see me again. That's the truth. Because I didn't have, I spent all week in the mirror practicing what to say. Which is no practice when you're late. So I walked in and I went, right, went back to my old confrontation mode, which we were comfortable with that, you know. Went in, I picked out a place. See you, I says, you put your clothes back on, you're never going to play for me. I never went, what?
Did you know the player?
Well, it was my roommate in Europe. That's why, because he was a smoker, a drinker the night before the games. Never done a warm-up. He was influencing the manager in his team selections. I knew all this because he told me everything when we were rooming in Europe. So everyone went, so the chairman was in the dressing room. Strip, you, blah, 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 blah. Right? Your man gets his bag and walked out in a temper. Chairman calls me and says, Rod, what's going on? Not for us. Not where we want to go. And that was it. Just plain sailing after that. So in the 4 weeks, Jay, we 2 wins, 2 draws. We were bottom of the league now.
Good results.
So they called me up and said, we want you to give you the job full time. Give me a 2-year contract.
So you fell into it?
Fell into it. Loved it. Found it easy. Tactically, not a bother. I can't say it, but tactically it was a drink of water for me.
Yeah.
Managing men was no problem.
Yeah, because you've done that.
Do you know what I mean, Jay? I've done it on Bill and so like if they had that to argue about, it's like a fella arguing about his way, so no problem. So anyway, done that, done really well, got them from bottom. They had to finish in the top 6 to go into the Premier League, even though we were in the Premier League, to the new Premier League forum. Got them on the last day, the top 6. Went around signing all my players for the next season. Got a phone call, come up to a meeting, went up. Oh no, come up to a meeting, ready to go to a meeting, got a phone call. The meeting's cancelled, Noel Brotherson died, who played for Northern Ireland. We're going to the funeral. We'll meet you next week. Next phone call, I'll never forget it, Gifford McConkey. I have the unenviable task of telling you we don't need your services anymore. Right, I goes, there you go. Year's contract to go. Plus, I paid the wages of the players out of my own company for 2 weeks to a broke. So anyway, I got a sick now, Jay.
Oh, no, there's no loyalty in sport.
I got a turn against it, Jay. I felt really terrible.
At that stage, had you built your reputation as being a strong, outspoken kind? Had you? Because I know as your career went on, you were always outspoken and you had a strong kind of leadership. You always had your teams back. You were a real stand in front of your team. That's my team, and you want them to go through me kind of. And you always notice that. I look back on some interviews and things over the years. You were always straight. You were never shied away from the camera when it came to an interview or facing up to crises and jobs and things like that. Had you got that at the time, or would you have went back at them and had a bit of a go at them, or did you just walk out the door and say good luck? No, it was on the phone. But funny you should say that, Jay. I found out afterwards, which I always do, the catalyst for my demise. I was invited up to a BBC television show, and Jackie Fullerton was hosting it, and it was about the new forum of the league. Right? And they asked me my opinion in the audience. The chairman went ballistic. He went ballistic. And it came back to me, how dare he come up to Dublin Road and represent our club with his opinions. And that was the beginning. So no, I never shied away. I didn't have a go off them, because when you're sacked, you're sacked. Yeah, you're gone. You're gone. Now, I made a fool of myself at Bowles when they sacked me. Yeah. I went mad. A bit of a wobbly there. But that was luck. Let's go on to that, though. When you got to Bowles of 98, I think it was. Yeah, it was 3 years out of the game. Was that a dream job, Rod? Do you know what? Because you're a Dublin man, and the Bowles obviously were one of the biggest teams in the country. They were the biggest in the country at the time. I think they were thereabouts at the time. Well, the biggest in name, Jay. Yeah. And they were only 500 yards from me Hall Dower and Carlisle. That's what I'm saying. Was that that has to be? And I played for them, and I supported them. And pardon me, the main man there, Tony O'Connell, Jody, he was the main man. He brought me to the north as a player. Right. So to be involved with people that I trusted 100% was everything. After the punch in the stomach I got in the north. When I got that phone call, I thought it was a wind-up. I'll be honest with you. I was in bed on a Monday night, about 11 o'clock, and we were pushed down at the phone by the bed. Very nice. Yeah. Phone rang. Hello, yeah, Roddy.
would you be interested in getting involved in Bows and Dalymount? We're building a new stand. They build a plastering company. I thought, lovely jubbly,
On the doorstep.
big earner there,
Yeah.
you know. And I was trying to give him advice on a bit of structure work. And I says, yeah, what do you want me to do? He says, we want a manager. Now, Jay, I done a year in the North and never even went to a game after that. I just hated football. Followed Stephen everywhere and went around with Stephen. And so I thought this would wind up. So I said, okay, we'll meet in Switchers at the time. It's Brown Thomas now. I went down. Turlock O'Connor was there. He said, John, what was the man's name? John McGrath has resigned. We've no manager. He says, I'm taking the reins, but we want to move you in. And I went, I'm all up for it.
Brilliant.
So I went trained the next night, that morning we met. I was driving away from the meeting and I met a player from Bows who I knew very well, who I played with previous. Another sleeve in, so I'm driving and he's walking down the road and I beeped him. How are you? So, hey, Greg, where are you going? Get in a big box of paperwork, put him in the car. I says, who's the new manager going to Bows going to be? He said, I don't know. I said, you're looking at him. Go away, you with that, he said. I says, yeah, I'm not getting the job. Wait till I tell you about this fella, that fella, this fella, that fella, and all that sleeve in. Right? He wasn't even putting in himself. And I went, that's great. Thanks very much for that. So anyway, went in there. It was a disaster.
When you got there?
Oh, it was a disaster, Jay. From the top to the bottom was a disaster. From the training kit to the squad's attitude to the players to their wages. It was a disaster. There was 2 kids from Australia there that Joe brought in, and they might have done well in Australia, played for Australia, but maybe it was homesickness. They weren't near good enough, they're on good wages, lived in a clubhouse, blah, blah, blah.
But the thing, like, you went in there in 98, 2000 and 2001, you won a League and Cup double.
33 months later, I didn't know that. A historian told me that, Jay.
That's outrageous. Like you just said there, that's why I wanted to pull that straight up because you just said it was a disaster when you got in there.
Yeah.
Within 2 years, 2.5 years, you had a League and Cup double. Yeah. And you're not in management now.
But Jay, and beaten in the previous season in a cup replay against the best team in the country, Shelbourne, and we were pipped for second in the league on the last day by 1 point with Derry. But that's where we were. That's where we were. But as I said, when I went in, I seen it, Jay, and I knew what was going on. And I went, right, I'll give it so many games, and I did. And we played Sligo. I think we lost 1-0. We were bottom of the league. So I called the meeting on a Sunday morning, told nobody. Everyone come in. I went through every single individual. The merits, Jay, you'll do it for me. You're honest. We're going to be in a severe battle. You're a battler. You have guts. You have balls. You have honesty. We need you. You might be the best player, but that's relegation. You're not for me. You'll win a league somewhere else, which you would have. Fergal Harkin. You'll win a league, but you won't win a relegation battle because I've played in relegation battles. Boom, 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 boom. 6 players gone. I remember ringing Tony O'Connor, put me in the job. Tony, how are your son? How are your son? He was calm. He says, great, yeah. Can you talk to him? And yeah, what's crack? I was just telling him, I want to let 6 players go. And he went quiet. He went, for fuck's sake, are you for fucking real? I was telling him, I'd let 6 players go. Now, you can back me or sack me, because I know this relegation business. I done it up at the North. I know this relegation business. I said, back me or sack me. It's all the one to me. But if you keep these players, I promise you now, Bows are going to be relegated. I'll back you, son. That's what he said. But it was a trying. I remember after that, Jay, we played Cork away, who hadn't dropped a point at home. Sorry, hadn't lost a game at home. And we went training on the Tuesday night, and Terry Everson was me second in command, and he says, Rod, I'm a bit worried. And I said, what's wrong? We don't have enough for a 5-side competition tonight. Right? We'd 9 senior players. I said, don't worry about it. So I rang a man called John Steele, who's an encyclopedia on non-league football in the UK. I said, John, I need 2 players, and I need them today. What have you got? He said, of a kid called Dean Martin, right, and Kevin Hunt. He said they're in Hong Kong Rangers, but they're coming to train with me at Byrne this week. This was on a Wednesday. Thursday, Rangers were going to have the 2 lads here. I said, are they good enough? Trust me, Rod, they're good enough. I said, sign them. I said, sign them. I signed them on the Friday before 5 o'clock to play on the Sunday in Cork. Right? Never seen him. I remember ringing Damien Richardson. He had Kevin Hunt at Gillingham as a kid. I said, Damien, what do you do? He says, play him, Rod. Play him. He won't let you down. Play the 2 of them. You know, Kevin Hunt looked like he looked like Pam Ayres' daughter. He looked like a little girl with a little bob haircut, real placid and real gentleman. And I remember he went into a 50-50 tackle. I think it was John Herrick or one of the hard cases in Cork. 50-50 fair tackle. Bang! Lifted him out of it. He looked over at me and I went, you'll do it with me, kid.
That's what you want, yeah.
And Dino was great. He was an attacking player. Great lad. But when they announced that day, we have, and number 11, he's not a singer, he's a winger.
Yeah,
and I could just picture, Jay, we lose.
Yeah.
Roddy Collins signs Dean Martin is singing. Anyway, we got a win. A 1-0. And then we went 9 games unbeaten.
Brilliant.
But it was still a tricky period. We ended up in the playoffs. And I remember going out against Cove, away from home in the first leg, and Tony grabbed me by the hand. He said, son, don't let me down, please. And I spoke to him last week. To this day, I'll never forget him holding my hand. And I was just, Tony, we never let you down. We won 5-0 down there. We won the second leg handy, and then it was a clear out. Then we went next season, runners up, third place by a point, cup finalists, beaten by a better team. Shelbourne, replay, no harm. And then I knew, so 8 of the team that season of the squad, I let them go. I got a call from upstairs. What's going on? What do you mean? We nearly won the league and we nearly won the cup. I said, there goes your explanation. I said, they played great, lads, as best as they could, Jay, and as hard as they could. Could fault none for their.
Couldn't have got any better, like.
Couldn't do any better.
Exactly.
I got the best out of them. I said, but we need to step her up. So I got fellas a little bit more quality, and it was a trying season. I never got on with the board. Everyone knows that. And yeah. So our guest next week, I don't know when this is coming out, our guest next week in Dalymount to commemorate the 6-4 victory in Santry against Shamrock Rovers. And that was the catalyst for going on an unbeaten run. I think it's about 11, 12 games to win the cup in the league.
The double.
Yeah,
like
unbelievable.
A fantastic achievement.
33 months. Yeah. Jay, I never, honestly, trust me, honest to God, I was Hall of Famed up in Crusaders there a few months ago. Hall of Fame, me? For what? I think I played 46 games for Crusaders. No. 60 odd games or something and got 44 goals. I didn't even know that. I gave all my medals away. I didn't have to give away. Not into that, you know.
What would be your biggest achievement in football, playing, management? Would it be that double?
No. We had a very good squad of players. Great backroom team.
Yeah, but you had that when you won the double. That's great.
Yeah.
But when you started, you didn't have that.
Yeah.
So you have to take responsibility. Yes, the team helped, the staff helped you build it and all that, but your words when you said it was in bits when you went in. The place was a mess.
Yeah.
You won a double 33 months later.
Yeah.
That's a massive achievement. It's okay. You could have went into a club there, manager got a better job, moved on, left a fantastic team.
Yeah.
You walked in, a little bit like Liverpool last year with your man Klopp. When he left a great team there. Your man went in, won the league. You know what I mean? Then when he started adding his own players to it and everything last summer, they've gone downhill big time. You know what I mean? Because he's put his stamp on, and his stamp isn't what Klopp's was.
Yeah.
You went into a mess. And you turned it around. You didn't do it on your own. You have a staff and team, but you hired the staff. You brought in the staff. You brought in the players.
Yeah.
That to me is a massive achievement.
Well, do you know what, Jay? That's something I never even thought of. That's a different way of looking at it. See, when people say achievement, you think of silverware and stuff like that. But no, that's something that you would see. I'd never even think of that.
That was a club that was on the brink of getting relegated.
On the brink.
Within 33 months, they won a league and cup double.
Jay, trust me. Honestly, I'm not being dramatic. I'm not trying to give myself anything. They were getting relegated. Trust me, there was 5 fellas in that dressing room. didn't care.
Like there's not many,
You know?
there's not many managers in the country now or in the last 20 years, say 30 years, that can do that. Can turn a team from nothing to something big, and something big being the top of the country. Winning about it. You might win a cup.
Yeah, that's luck.
The best team wins the league.
Yeah.
And you went from being a team that was fighting relegation to being the best team in the league. That to me is a massive achievement.
Yeah.
So,
well, do you know what? I'll sleep on that one.
However, I think it's a massive achievement.
It is, and I'm really happy you brought it. I never thought that way. However, when I went to Carlisle, Jay, it was a worse mess. Carlisle was a worse mess. It was in administration. The chairman, Michael Knighton, who everyone knew tried to buy Man United, was a barred director, couldn't participate in the club. The supporters hated the board. It was horrendous. But I was delighted to get a shot at the big league. You know, no disrespect to the League of Ireland, but I've done, as you said, in 33 months, 2 European wins away from home, which made history. I don't know if anyone's done it since. And a double. And a profit. Made a profit of 700,000, which was massive for League of Ireland. To go to Carlisle, and I remember getting picked up in the airport by the physio. I remember going to the ground on my first day, and the lads were training. I remember a cream linen suit. It was a scorcher, pre-season, early July, and I remember going out to look at the train. I said, I had like my first trip to the north as a manager planned out. I won't go straight in. I'll hang around a while, blah, blah, blah. But you know yourself, Jay. I arrived at the training ground in my suit. I wasn't 50 minutes there. My jacket was on the ground. I was in the middle of the pitch, short and tie, blah, blah, blah. Come down on them. And I remember, we talk about first impressions. I remember going to the fella, Billy Byrne was taking the session. Sorry, Billy, you're the coach. Yeah, okay. What is this? It was called a closing down session. They call it a block now. I don't know what they call it now, but same thing. And I went, well, it's the weakest, most passive thing I've ever seen. No wonder you struggle year in, year out. That's not going to work for me.
No intensity.
And when I said it, Jay, there was a fella standing in the crowd. He was an older player, 34 years of age, in the group of players, and he smirked like that, you know. And I genuinely says, sorry, what are you laughing at? And everyone looked, you know. And he goes, what? Pardon me or something. I says, what are you laughing at? What do you find funny? And he goes, no, I'll talk to you later on your own. So everyone looked, fucking hell. So they all went back out and they were boom, 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 boom. They were at it.
So the intensity is already.
Well, Jay, and now that's a bonus as regards tactics. That's my job. Abilities, helping people improve as a player. That's my job. But once that's there, you have a chance. Anyway, training was over. Called him over. Mark Winstanley, brilliant fella. I said, Mark, is it? Yeah. I says, Mark, what were you? He says, I wasn't, Gaffer, they called you. Gaffer, I wasn't laughing. I just smiled because it's exactly what we need. This fella played in the top league with Bolton Wanderers. He said, exactly what we need. Someone that's going to get down on these youngsters. He became my best ally in the dressing room. And that was my first impression there, you know. So it was torture.
Was it as bad as Bowes? A
million times worse. Million times worse.
So you what you done at Bowes seems to it went under the radar anyway. It doesn't get the respect. I didn't know that until I read the book. Yeah. To be honest, how good of a job you had done there, and then when you went to Carlisle, like within 2 years there, you were in the Football League trophy.
Yeah, we went to the final. Like, and you see, even with Bowes, the first season with Bowes when they were in trouble, I didn't concentrate on the FAI Cup at all. I didn't.
The league is always priority.
We need to stay up. Yeah. So I prioritised that. In Carlisle, the first season there, didn't prioritise that at all. And when I left the club, I was with Michael Knighton there a month ago. He said he sacked me. I said I resigned. There was about 30 seconds in between either or on TalkSport. I was interviewed and I said I stepped down. He heard it and rang me and said, you're sacked. But with good crack, you know. But in between that, I didn't prioritise the cup. When I got let go at Carlisle, if you want to say let go, which is his prerogative, was 5 games left. If we'd have won 4 when the season was over, we'd have been in the playoffs. In the playoffs. Now, Jay, I can't go into it too much because we're here all day.
Yeah.
We'd no players. We'd no wages. We'd no wages. The union was paying our money. We'd no extras, petrol money or anything for players. Nothing. We'd nothing. We were on a shoestring. I remember getting a loan of Leon Osmond off David Moyes. Right? And it was like transformation. He was brilliant. That gave us a lift. They paid all his wages.
They were just happy to see him play.
Oh, they want the same place coming off an injury. Then I got Richie Ford from Shells. I pulled a big flanker on that one. Ollie never forgave me, but we laughed about it afterwards. He was after being sent off, I think, for the 7th or 8th time in 2 seasons. He was only 19 or 20. I knew him. His father's my pal. Played Gaelic with his father. Tried to sign him when he was 16 for Bows. Anyway, offered $3,000. And anyway, didn't get him. Dave McKeely rang me, Rod, Richie's finished over here. There's no one going to take him. Have you any money? I said, yeah, we had nothing. We couldn't even buy a tea bag. I said, yeah, what you want? He says, well, I'll be looking for a few quid. I says, get him over. Richie come over about 2 days later with Dave McKeely. I looked around, got Richie out on the pitch, walked him around, and Richie said to me, I'm not fucking going back, Rod, I'm staying here. I said, good, that's what I want to hear. So I said, look, I don't know who's going to negotiate your deal. I'll do a fight with Michael Knighton if you want, or whatever. Anyway, he got someone else to do it. So while he was on the phone to me, how are you, Rod? How are you, Ollie? Yeah, you taking him? I said, I'll take him. He says, I want money. I said, well, there's no money. I says, you know, he's no good to you. He says, oh, you want money? I said, what do you want? He said, 100 grand. I said, I'll give you 100 grand. He goes, that's great. Brilliant. Signed the contract. Whole lot. Next of all, about a week later, no, we gave 15 grand up front. And we hadn't got it. Michael Knighton got it. Because I said to Michael, this man will score more goals and defend more set pieces and keep us in the league. 100%. He actually did. He scored a goal against Halifax with 5 games to go. That kept us in the league. Anyway, so anyway, we signed Richie. 15 grand went back to Dublin. And next of all, the club went into administration. Ollie rings me up, where's me money? Ollie, we've no money. Ollie got nothing out of it. But anyway, brilliant. So turning that round, then I was in a bar up in Castleknock, collecting money off a builder who I hadn't seen about 18 months, owed me money, seen his Jeep, went in, he had to check in the dashboard. There you go, Rod. Got talking. John Courtney walked in, cigarette, and how are you, Rod? Didn't know him that well enough. He was the main man in Umbro. He said to me, you're doing well over there, you could be in them playoffs. I said, yeah. He said, what would the capacity be there? I said, 18, 20,000 if it's done right. Right. And I'll never forget it, Jay. He puffed on his cigarette in the pub at the time. He said, if I bought that club, would you sign a 5-year contract? And I looked at Carlisle. I said, of course I would. But what I tell me mates is, I pulled out a big cigar and went, absolutely. But anyway, so that led to him coming over. I rang Knighton. Michael, I have a rail. Stephen was going to buy it, my brother. Got tricky, and I said, Stephen, I don't want to be responsible for your money. Albert Goubet, you know.
Tesco's, he sold the Tesco's, he sold supermarkets, wasn't he?
What you call it? Albert was 3 guys, and then he was Total Fitness. Albert was a good personal friend of mine. Albert come over to buy it, and he wanted the land. The land was swampland, no use. Anyway, in the end, I said to Michael Knighton, Michael, I have a real one for you, a buyer. And that was it. Went back over, told all the lads, we probably get paid soon. Okay, great. We were playing Leyton Orient on the Saturday at home. And John Courtney come over to Leeds Bradford with me to meet Michael Knighton in the airport. We sat in the airport. And I said to Michael Knighton, this man is serious about this. Don't act the maggot. I'll leave you to it. And I went off, right? And I come back, they done their deal. The next Saturday we're playing Leyton Orient, and John Courtney come over to the game, and the word got out who he was, what he was doing, the whole lot, and they started singing his name. I'll never forget it. He was like the emperor up in the gallows, or the gods. Here he was, and we battered Leyton Orient 6-1. We tore them to shreds because every player in the dressing room,
Playing for that, man.
we've something to play for.
100%.
You know, we're going to get paid. We can pay our mortgage. It was just a relief. And then took lingered on. Now, as I say, the day I finished, I resigned. We played Shrewsbury, we beat them, and we were safe in the league. And I done an interview and I said, I'm stepping down. I said it by Boyer. I said, I should have been handed over 2 weeks ago. And I said, Michael Knighton gave me his word, which he did. Don't act the maggot, out the exact words. And he said he wouldn't. I said, he's acting the maggot. I'm off. I'm out. Then he rang me and says, you're sacked anyway. So I went home and I got a lump of money to stay out of work. I was offered about 5 jobs in England, the lower leagues. And I was offered a lump of money, a good wage, every week to stay out of work. And that was the biggest mistake of my entire life.
What do you mean when you say a big lump of money to stay out of work?
John Courtney gave me a lump of money because I was free. I was a free agent.
Right.
He still ambitious of buying the club, but his contractual problems or his due diligence was taking longer.
Just wait for him, basically.
But I was getting offers off clubs, Jay.
Of course.
And I had a family, but I said, look, and honestly, in my life, I've been in many, many tight corners, really frightening situations in life. But that was the one time in my life I regret till this day. As they say, I took the first day in bargain. I agreed to dance with the devil. And I knew, and I'll always say this to my kids and anyone, follow your gut instinct. That day, I felt like getting sick when I took that deal off. And I knew it was wrong. Yeah. But I'm a grown man. It's what would you call a lifetime regret? But look, I done it.
Yeah.
And it was, and it just changed my whole life. Went back, disaster. Disaster. Wanted to pick the team, bringing the lads out drinking. Just total mayhem. Disaster. And after 4 games, I had a bit of I should tell you what happened. I worked for 10 weeks, living in a hotel with 4 children. 4, yeah. My daughter was back home studying. And I didn't get paid for 10 weeks. I was living on hotel food, everything on the room. And one day, I got called up by a girl, Kathleen. She was a Sligo girl, worked on the reception. She says, Roddy, I'm a bit embarrassed. Can I talk to you? Yeah, no problem. What's the crack? You have to leave. We 2 adjoining rooms, me and the family. You have to leave. He hasn't paid the bill in months. And I remember going to meet him. We played Rotherham they were in the League One now. The Championship. Played them in the Milk Cup early in the season. I remember going up and calling them. Can I have a word? And I seen the tournament that day. I says, any chance of a few bob? Now, he was giving me £100 cash a week. Sweets. Right? And he said, don't get fucking awkward with me. That's what he said to me face. And I went, awkward? I said, I've 4 kids living, going to school, going down to have that breakfast with people on business trips, in their uniform. It's hell. I said, my youngest playing football again, the wall of the hotel. He's getting told to get in out of the car park. Don't go there with me. I lost it, you know. So anyway, we got it over the line. I bought a house and it never worked. Never worked. It was just, I won't come into it because it's like an excuse. It was just, got to the final, played in the cup, doing okay in the league, getting there, came to the cup, put my team out the day before it, calls me down to his office, what are you doing, Rod? I says, I'm giving him a game. No way, Rod. I've no money. What? I thought I was a multi-gillionaire. I've no money. We need the fucking gate on this cup. We need that. I'll never forget the quote he said, to wash me face. I didn't know what that meant. Must be a business terminology. So I thought, hold on a minute, this is not a game of football anymore. This is a game of survival. So I picked my strongest team. But I remember playing myself and managing in big cup games.
Yeah.
You'll always use the next league game. Even in Europe.
Of course, yeah.
Right, because they're used to the big razzmatazz. So I remember we played Hull City and they were flying. Brian Little was the manager. And we played Hull City. We played Wrexham in the cup, managed by Joey Jones. And he was a boxing fan, by the way. So we played Wrexham in the cup and they were flying in League One, they call it now. And we beat them on a golden goal. Willow McDonough ricochet when that was going a mile wide, ricochet green. And I remember that. and everyone was on a high. We were in the area final, which was a semi-final to go to Wembley.
Yeah.
Well, it ended up in the Millennium Stadium. Wembley was under construction. But anyway, so we played Hull the next home game, and I knew it. They battered us 4-0. Right? And no one cared. All caught up in this cup thing. So I brought that up in the conversation before the earliest game, and I went, look, don't care. We need the money. I'll never give in to a chairman. I said, right, how are we going to get out of this? So I mixed and matched and gambled. We got to the final anyway. We played the final in the Millennium Stadium. And the next game after that was a do or die game against Shrewsbury. They lose, they're relegated. We lose, we go to the last game of the season in our own ground. And Jay, I don't know if you've ever played, I know you played high-level football. If you've ever played in a relegation game, trust me, I've played and managed.
I played in a couple.
Oh, Jay. Does it drain you?
It's intense.
People talk about pressure, cup finals and league games to win a league. That's not pressure. If you're in a club, especially in the Football League in England, and you're going to a situation, last game season at home, honestly, I've seen horrendous reactions in players. So we went 2-0 down against Shrewsbury, and the famous, I'll tell your mother on you, that was that night.
Yeah, very good.
To break the monotony, not the monotony, to break the fear. The lads in the dugout were terrified. I seen them sliding down. Nigel Jemison scored a 2. I threw a fella on, Brian Wake, got a hat-trick. We beat them 3-2. And the crowd, we'd 4,000 supporters that night travelling. And the crowd was brilliant. It was a great night. But before the game, I said to the players, because when we relegated Halifax Town, I remember not realising how horrendous it was for Halifax Town. And I remember that manager, he went on to manage Leeds United afterwards. He was a great fella, player manager. And I remember that night we won and we went on a dance around the ground, on their ground. And we were all dancing around that. And I looked around and there was women crying and all. You know, tea ladies were crying. And what am I to do? What am I to do? I wrote a letter of apology. And I did genuinely apologise. I didn't think just a relief for survival. So I remember saying to the lads, we were doing a documentary, the Rod Squad at the time, and all the cameras were there. And I remember saying to the lads, right boys, if we win here tonight, don't celebrate. Come straight in. We'll celebrate the home game Saturday. We're our own supporters. And I remember, fair play to the lads, to a man. Game over, we won 3-2, straight down the tunnel, and me included. I remember sitting in the dressing room, and the door was getting battered down. Now, I mean, like it was like a battering ram, a boot, a kick, everything was getting broken down. So I opened the door, and there was the bell, John. Get out in that fucking pitch and celebrate. I said, no, absolutely not. No way. We had 4,500 travelling supporters, paid their money. We'd see them Saturday. That was my finish. I was gone after that. So we went and survived. Last game of the season, I remember doing my speech in the centre circle, which is part of the course, thanking everyone. No lap of honour. I says, no lap of honour. We've nothing to be honourable about. Honourable. We didn't win nothing.
Of course, yeah.
I says, we'll thank you in the centre circle. You'll do a lap of honour, we won't. So there was a row straight away. And I remember doing my speech, and he jumped on me back. Ran out and jumped on me back in front of everyone. Then took the mic. It was this off the wall. So I remember going on my holidays out to Spain. And I had a fella who I gave a job to, great lad, ringing me, Rod, I'm a bit worried. What's wrong? So-and-so's in at meetings with the chairman every day. An hour here, 2 hours there. I don't know what's going on. It's not good. So I knew when I come back, it was over. And look, it was a horrendous finish. It was draining. It was heartbreaking for the kids. We thought I moved over to go to Pontyland to the college, finish off a degree. Just as well, got the kids home and all that. But remember, I'll finish up on this one. The last day I managed there, around the training ground, there was these 2 old ladies and one man, the husband of one of them, the other one was with her. And they were lovely, lovely, lovely. And I go up and say, this is me new sign, and this is the lad, and I bring them over. They were just lovely people. I remember going up onto the grass bank of the training pitch, and, all right, how are you doing? You know, and one of the women turned away, and she started crying. I went up, and I said, you're a couple. Is she all right? She says, no, are you all right? She said, grand. Now, we're only 3 games into the season. We did probably 10 new players. She said, I'm grand, why? It's a bit of a rumour going around that you're in a bit of trouble. What? No, I'm not. She's joking me. She said, we're going to get promoted this year. So went around, I said, lads, called over me. You know, lads, anyone here? No. Players just here, you know, it's fair play. I was in a rang. Chairman. How are you doing? Yeah, is everything all right? Yeah, why? There's a few rumours going around. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I says, would you do me a favour? So we're playing Boston the weekend. He was at the game. I said, will you come in a bit early? And I said, will you talk to the players? Just back me.
Yeah.
He said, because I'm starting to get... Now, why the 4-year contract to run worth a fortune? Do you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
But it wasn't about money, Jay. It was about wanting to get there to there.
100%, yeah.
You know? So, yeah, I'll be there. Everything's grand, no problem. Done me team talk. Never turned up.
You knew then.
I knew. Went out the pitch, and he came out after me, blah, blah, blah. Oh, sorry, we're in the trap and chat me, yeah, right. I remember a ball coming across, and a certain player, the ball bounced, and all he did was nod her on, and he was on a one-on-one with the keeper, and he ducked under it. And I went, what? Anyway, I got thrown out of the dugout, banned by the fourth official for fighting with the officials. And I remember, I knew it was over. I knew by the body language of one or two of them. And I remember coming in, and the fella that ducked in under it, Richie Forden, who was like a son to me, grabbed him by the throat. Richie must have known what was going on, you know. So the game ended. We got on the bus home in Boston. I said, lads, we're going to stop on the way. I stopped at an off licence. I got the biggest shopping trolley you could get. I filled it with as much drink as I could fit into it. I brought it onto the bus and said, lads, this is my going away party now. So we 3 hours together as the lads on the way back. And that was it. I went into work on the Monday morning, and I said to Sinead, she come over to finish her studies. Sinead, will you come with me? She said, what the lend of the car? I remember driving in and seeing cars I'd never seen before. And I went in, and I got to the dressing room, got a phone call off the girl, Sarah McKnight, who's still working there as we were a month ago. And I'm going back over on the 3rd of April as a guest again. Sarah says, Roger, I want it in the boardroom. Now remember, there was no directors of this club. It was John, and he always said, John and me and you. Went in, and there was 3 people there. Stephen Patterson, Fred Story, and a man from Pirelli, John Pirelli, from Pirelli Toil. They were all sponsors. They had a few bob. And I got hit with a tornado. You're a dummy. Oh. The builder says to me, you're a dummy. And I looked at him and I went, well, I won't tell you how to build houses, even though I know how to build houses. No one likes you. The crowd hates you. Keeps coming. So, right, I said, okay, what about it? Well, we want you to resign. Now, with the contract worth about 120 grand.
No, not resigning.
No, it wasn't. It was worth 200 and odd grand. It was only about 75 grand a year starting off, which was increasing. Anyway, so I'm looking. And now I knew with a good squad of players, so I'm looking and going, stop, will you? Went down. So, I'll be back in a minute. Went down to the office. Rang me solicitor, Brian Delahunt. Brian, he said, Rod, that's a heave-ho if ever I seen one. You cement your feet to that floor.
Yeah, don't
Went back down. I says, right, lads, I've had a good talk with John Cunningham, my right-hand man, and no, we're grand. We'll prepare for the game the weekend. There's no problems here. Few dodgy results, three results. We'll be fine. Well, it's not like that. The ego jumped in. What do you mean it's not like that? It's not going any further. We're only getting 5,000 at the games. We need 12,000. Blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, not my problem. Because look, Roy, you You're sacked.
Lovely.
That's great. I said, can you ask Sarah to give me that in writing? Had a chat with Sarah a month ago. I haven't seen her in years. She said, Rod, I was nearly crying coming down. Great girl. So she comes down and she says, in writing, terminated. I faxed it through to my solicitor. That's acceptable, Rod. Pack your bags. Went home, told Karen, we all had a good cry. And I got a phone call about 2 hours later from a fella called George Reynolds, who owned it. Darlington. He was a safe cracker. He was a gas man, right?
Really?
He was a gangster. And so I went to his house, got picked up, big silver shadow car, went up with Caroline up to his house. And I'll never forget, somebody said it then, I still use to this day. I went in and Karen said the house was like Gone with the Wind, the stairs. I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah.
We had to mansion. Went and sitting there negotiating. He says, right, how much will you charge me to manage us for this season? Only 4 games in. And I said, well, I was on 75 grand there. I said, give me 50 grand. He said, and what do you guarantee me? Well, I guarantee we'll get in the playoffs. Right? You had a good squad. And he goes, and if we don't get in the playoffs, will you give me 25 grand back? Right? And I know he was brilliant. And I said to him, George, I wouldn't like my kids knocking at your door looking for a bit of bread. And he said to me, well, rather your kids than my kids. He was brilliant. But anyway, so he gave me the job, right? I drove away. Brilliant. We don't have to move house. We don't have to move home. Darla was up the road. Perfect. The next game was Carlisle. I said to him, leave it till after that game. We leave it at that. So they'll take over the following week. Rang the fella that was caretaker boss. No problem, I'd love to work with you. Blah, blah, blah. Never heard another word.
Jesus.
Whatever happened, never heard another word.
Was that the end of the football management?
That was the end of it in England. Come home and I took over. I went in as a director of football or some. See, because in the thing, I'd a pay up and I couldn't take another manager's job. With the no, I didn't get a pay up. With the legal stuff, couldn't take a manager's job, Jay. But I could take a director of football. It was all the terminology.
Of course, yeah.
So I went in, helped out Dublin City for a few months. And then Rovers rang me. And I took over Rovers.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was a basket case. Great people, zero money.
I remember.
And I had a great squad. You want to see the squad we had there? Unbelievable squad, but no one was getting paid.
Yeah, I remember that.
No one was getting paid. I remember sitting down one day in training and I had a few bob. And I remember saying to Mark Rutherford, how many kids have you got? 4. Have you money coming in? No, I'm a student. Blah, blah. Right, we give you that much. Trevor Malloy, how are you? I'm all right, Rod. Might not bringing in a few bob. So, Gavin, all right. No, I got to pay up at Middlesbrough. Blah, blah, blah. Or Bradford. So that's how we worked.
Yeah.
And it was a disaster. And then the owners took over. And a friend of mine was a hairdresser, barber. Fellow went in off the board and he was getting his hair cut and he says, Collins is a Bows man. If he doesn't win every game 4-0, he's fucking gone. And I got that phone call back and I knew I was under pressure. But we were going all right. Bit down near the bottom where we shouldn't have been, but we were starting to get there. And I was asked to do a white collar boxing show in the Green Oil by Carl O'Grady. And I said, yeah, it was for charity. It was for the Haemophilia Society. I said, of course I'll do it. And I was banned that night in the dugout in Inchicore, the Pats ground. So I could only walk off a phone from miles away. So I'm on the phone for the whole game, right? There's about a minute to go. I get near the big gate to beat the crowd because I'm not allowed in the ground at all after the game. The referee puts the whistle in his mouth. I had a taxi waiting outside. So from getting to the gate, the whistle blown, to the taxi, I was gone. My phone rang. Where are you? Before I could say I'm in a taxi, which I was, the phone went dead, the battery. No problem. Went in, done me 3 rounds with Stevie Rogerson and every yours.
Yeah.
Great lad. Had a great night. All the squad came. All the players were there. The chairman was there. John Brain, lovely man. No problems. 2 days later, I got a call. can we meet you somewhere? And I says, yeah. It was a reserve game in Inchicore. Meet you at the reserve game. Yeah, I went to the reserve game. And they have it at home. They had me about 300 pages. How I dressed, how I spoke, how I did this, how I did that. You're not sacked, which should have what they done.
Of course.
We're suspending you for an internal investigation. Now, Jay, what would your interpretation of it? It could be, was I drunk? Was I robbing money? You know, what was I doing wrong? Yeah. Me Marty even said to me, Jesus, Rod, it's on the news. What did you do wrong? I don't know, ma. If they'd have said sacked, okay. So my kids were getting into school as well. So I took them to court and I won.
Oh, very good.
Got paid up on the steps because they
And
leg to stand it. And you asked me about regrets and achievements, how we got into this. My biggest achievement in football was keeping Carlisle in the league, in the football league in England. Jay, you're talking about boxing. You go to Philadelphia, and you go into a gym in there. You're in this league too, in football in England. It's a rat race.
Yeah.
And to keep them at that level and get to a cup final in 2 years was phenomenal, right? And then the regret I have forever at Rovers, except the ones that made it personal. I was an expert at relegation. If you look at my record, I think it was 5 games to go. Rovers sacked me and got relegated. I'd have kept them in the league. I even offered to go in the playoff games, just for the 2 games, to motivate them, tell them how much it was worth. Not to me, I was gone. Refused. That's a regret, you know. But that was the management end of it, you know.
And football, that's the football. We might do another episode on the boxing with Stephen and all that stuff, because I know there's a lot involved in that. Yeah. So we'll probably split that into another episode, maybe, if you're happy with that.
Yeah,
another
no
day,
problem.
do it in a few weeks or something.
Yeah, but Jay, the football didn't finish there. They blocked me. John Delaney.
Oh,
they blocked me for about 5 years. I couldn't get an interview. I couldn't even get less.
What was the grounds on blocking you?
Because when I took him out the court, when I took him out the court, yeah, I did sue him. I sued Courtney, and when I took him to court, he took umbrage that. Well, I didn't take the court. He paid me outside the court. Yeah. He took umbrage to it, and he said, "I'll keep that CONTO work. I've done it in England," he said, "and I'll do it in Ireland," and he did. And my first job back was in Malta.
And was it legal grounds wise he was able to do that?
No, I sent him solicitors' letters. Right. And it stopped. And I got a job in Malta after 4.5, 5 years. Out of the blue.
Yeah.
Arrived in Malta. Carlisle come over, picked the house, picked the schools. Everything was brilliant. I'm a month there waiting for Carlisle to tell you move over. Tony Zarda, who was the president of the club. Rod, can you come to the club? I'm not getting very disturbing news. Yeah, no problem. Went down. Went into his office. All right, Tony, what is it? He says, I'm after getting information that you robbed money from 2 football clubs in Ireland. The FA in Malta was passed around. They got it from the FAI. What? Yeah. I looked at him and says, Tony, I paid players. Yeah. What can I do? And he looked at me and he said, it's a viper's nest. I know you 6 weeks now, he said. I trust you. You're okay. I'll finish on the football here, right? Well, back to my hotel. I was staying in the Radisson Hotel, the Radisson Blue. I was on the floor, Jay. And I thought, just fucking leave me alone, will you? Leave me alone. 5 kids. It's the only thing I'm good at.
Of course. Yeah.
Plastering I can do to make money. Well, I'm good at this job. Let me at it. I remember going back to the hotel and I was on the floor, walking across the foyer, and the vice president of FIFA, John Boyce, who was second to Seth Blatter, walked across the hotel and said, all right, big man. I said, Jesus, how are you doing? He says, yeah, what's wrong, Joe? I says, I said, Jim, I said, you know what happened back home? I was blocked. He says, I know all about it. Everyone knew about it. Everyone knew about it, Jay. I says, I'm after being called into a meeting. And he went, is that right? He said, well, I have a story for you. He said, you're the only player I've ever engaged with that gave me money back. I didn't know what he was talking about. I got $2,000 signed off Cliftonville when I was at the end of my career. After about 4 or 5 games, my legs were gone. The manager looked at me, I looked at the manager. Marty Quinn. He says, Rod, I says, Marty, you're right, my legs are gone. I went up to the next home game and I gave £2,000 back to the chairman, who was Jim Boyce. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So he said to me, don't worry about that, Rod. He says, I'm going into the delegation with the Maltese FA. Your name will be cleared. And there's my card for any reference you ever need. Come home, took over Cork City, was there in about a month, got a letter from the FBI. You're not qualified to manage Cork City. After winning the double, after getting Carlisle, I got Malta into the European spot, and then I left them there. I said, lads, I'm going home. My wife was gone. There was a bit of a...
Of course, yeah.
You're not... I rang... What's his name? Used to be the goalkeeper for Ireland. What's his name? Bonner. No. Induction day. No. I rang Belfast. John Hartson rang Wales. And John Smith, I think it was John Smith, he was the head of the FA in Scotland at the time. I boxed on a charity show in Scotland. I was supposed to box him, and he pulled out, and I boxed your man, another little fella, socialist. Great, anyway. So I got to know them. They offered me a place on the course, induction day. Wales offered me a place on the course. Belfast, where I ended up doing, offered me a place on the course. But Packy Bonner in the FBI, no. So I knew what was going on. But anyway,
Which one?
Anyway, I come back. Cork went pear-shaped. I went to St. Moctus, helping them out.
Yeah, of course.
Just to be involved. I love it.
Yeah.
Next of all, got a call. Matt Monaghan, my son-in-law, played with them for years. They just missed the playoffs the season before by penalties. And I'll say this, my son-in-law missed a penalty in Bray Wanderers. They're still looking for the ball. Anyway.
Down the beach.
Down the beach. So he said, Rod Monaghan looking for a manager, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, jeez, I'll do that. I met them in my house pub in Castleknock. They walked in. They were there 5 minutes, had a coffee, walked down, gave me the job. I got them promoted immediately.
Brilliant.
Straight up. They were 20 years out of the league at the time. After that, they went bankrupt. So next of all, that loan town rang me, Turlock O'Connor, Rod, there's a job in that loan. Michael's there, who we played with, and I like Michael, he's good, but blah, 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 he's your assistant, that's part of the deal. Went in, won the league straight away. First time in 18 years, back in the Premier League. And then Derry, Sligo offered me contracts. Met the Sligo people, lovely people. Didn't like how much knowledge they thought they had, so that's not for me. Took the Derry job the day of the cup final. Pardon me. And I remember going up to Derry, brought my whole family, partners of me daughters, girlfriend and my son. I'm back 10 years out of the Premier League in Ireland. I'm back. This is going to be brilliant. John Delaney made a speech, said I spoke to Roddy Collins earlier in the day, which he did. I actually walked over to him and Steve McGuinness jumped in between us. And I'm glad he did. I was going to drop him. I was going to drop him with a body shot. No, I was. Steve McGuinness jumped in, so I put my hand out and disarmed him. Shook my hand and then he sleeved me and smiled. And he said, how will you do up there? I said, we'll win the league. I didn't say when. I always believe we're going to win the league. And he went, that night, same day, that night, we were all up there, big family table. He got up and made a speech. He said, Roddy Collins said he's going to win a league here. He won't be here long enough. And he was right. I lost 2 games, if you check the records. And the day before, we played Rovers in a game. I was gone. Rovers beat us 1-0 that day. Fair enough. I was gone before that game. 2 losses.
While we're on the top, you just brought up that of Derry. Lately, there's something going on with, I've seen there's a bit of a witch hunt against you at the minute online about the James, you made comments on James McLean and going back to Derry and that. And I've seen there's a lot now out to get you on that one.
Yeah.
Look, everyone will have their opinions on, and that's football, and that's public speaking, and you're allowed to have an opinion. I seen something, I think it was News Talk. There was
there's a gang of them in there now.
It was something like that. I seen something and I was looking at it online and the whole lot, and then I looked at the comments and, you know, can you elaborate on that in there? Is there something there, or is there a history with James, or is it just basically just your opinion on if you were the manager as such, or looking in from the outset? What? Because I know you said like he'd be running the dressing room and the manager has kind of lost his position now, and like a player like James, it would have a big stature in this country over his playing career over the years, and he has been a great servant to Ireland and that, and then he's gone into Derry, obviously at the age, probably a dream to go back home, maybe to finish off. And I see your comments, and I said, yeah, he's probably right in the manager. All right, the manager, like, it's very hard to manage a player with that stature and things like that. But
Jay,
was there a reason for it, or where did that come from, Rod?
Jay, people think there's an underlying reason, and I'll go back to that one. That was a football opinion of a footballer. Okay? 100 caps, no argument. What he's done for the limited talent that he had, his determination, his guts, his attitude, everything. I'm his biggest fan, right? If you decide for Shamrock Rovers, I would have went, yeah, okay, Shamrock Rovers, that's grand. He's in the pond of the Shamrock Rovers people. At left back, or thereabouts, wing back, would have said, okay. But sign of a Derry, I know what it's like up in Derry. Trust me, I know what it's like up in Derry. And whatever chance the manager had of succeeding has evaporated. The minute James walked into that club, that manager was finished, in my opinion. Now, I hope it doesn't work that way, because I hate any manager struggling. I know how hostile it can get up there. So that was a football opinion that people will disagree with. Of course they will. But people don't listen. One fella said, it was said to me the other day that, oh, Rod, they're after you in news talk. And I went, who? He said, well, Owen here, he said that I said the same about him. And he won 4 league medals or something after. See, Owen has to elaborate on that. And I do see Owen regular at the post games elaborate and say, Owen, you were too old for Carlisle with the profile I wanted, so I signed Brian Shelley at right back, which was younger. So he didn't elaborate on that. I said he was too old. He was for there, right? And then there's another little fella. He tried his hand at management. He was at Wexford Youths, a small little baldy fella. At Wexford Youths, and then he went to Galway for a while. And he's involved in Galway. He's involved in hurling or something like that. Can't remember his name, right? It'll come back to me. But he made a comment apparently that James won't worry about what Roddy says, because Roddy talks and then he thinks. Well, no, I didn't talk and think. That's my opinion. And it'll be proved right in the end. But anyway, getting back to the other side of that came out, I got a text of a player. I'll show it to you afterwards. I won't name him. On that, and he went, oh, Rod, you're a gas man. He says, are you trying to draw him out for the, what's called that boxing thing he's in?
Misfits, is it?
Misfits. Are you trying to draw him out Misfits because young Rod is boxing? But Rod stuck him out already. Rod stuck James McLean out in the car park up in Derry.
He hit him.
Oh, yeah, he did. Well, what happened was, when I got the job, McLean took umbrage to me letting a few players go, and he went online. Never read it. I'd love someone to print it and show me, but he went online and he gave his opinion on me as a man, right? And blah, 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 blah. He was hammering me, which is fine. I've no problem. But then he picked on young Rod, who was only 19, who had won a league medal with Athlone, and I believed that he was good enough to develop into a Premier League player. And he got Young Player of the Year. And Damon Richardson seconded him. So I was happy with that. But McLean jumped on it and started giving it to him. So I got the sack, and Rod said he was in the dressing room, a bit of a commotion. So I went out, and James was there. And all the players, and Rod looked up to him. Didn't like what he was writing, but he looked up. So he tried to have a conversation with him, and he just said, James, can I have a word? He says, no, it could be word for this, Rod. He said, I look up to you, and I aspire to be like you. He says, why are you slaughtering me? He says, you've never even seen me play. So apparently he caught me a wanker. And I mean, you know, Rod's a gentleman.
Yeah, I ran him in the boxing club, yeah.
He's a gentleman, but he can box. And he can hit. And it ended up in a bit of a awkward situation. So Rod dropped him.
I didn't know.
And then they were pulled apart. Rod went back in, gathered himself. He was on his own up there.
Yeah.
I was gone, gathered himself, went back out, and the Bell McLean was waiting again for more. So Rod stripped off and dropped him again. And that was the history of that. But that's nothing. That's separate. If someone's telling me about James McLean getting into a boxing ring with my son, either son, Porrick or, no problem. We'll get that on
Misfits.
in 20. Well, Misfits. Inside or outside the range. You might have a job in your hands here promoting this one. But no, if James wants to go that role, but as regards my opinion as a footballer, centre midfield, James McLean, 0 IQ, not going to happen. Left wing, getting down to the byline, whipping balls in, that's gone out of his game. That's what I say. James McLean's record, no one more prouder than me. James McLean not wearing the poppy, no one more prouder than me on that one. I can tell you that now. So, it's an opinion.
Everyone's entitled
it's an opinion. Yeah, and I'm sure, like, loads of people have opinions of me. I don't mind. But make sure they're right.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? I could be wrong. He could put 20 balls in off the end line. They win the league, and I'll be the first to hold my hand up. However, if he wants to talk boxing,
reach out.
People reach out. Sure, Rod's training away. He's going to fight there in the next 6 weeks anyway. But look, yeah, no problem.
Well, there you go, folks. If James McLean wants to have a knock off young Rod, there's the man to reach out to.
Well, do you know what? If he wants to take out his frustration that I believe against me, he can either go online where he's good at, or he can back it up against me, young player who he took on already and got embarrassed.
Oh, I think that's a nice note to leave it on, Rod. Until we do part 2.
Okay, part 2.
Thank you very much, Rod. Really appreciate it. Thank you.